In 2009, I weighed 90 more pounds than I do right now. And I had just turned 60, so it was hard to move, and I was working really hard at not waddling. I couldn't cross my legs, and I was tired. I was sitting at the edge of metabolic syndrome, and I said to my husband, I'm going to die in my 60s if I don't do something. Both of my parents had died in their 60s. And so we figured out how to live on one salary, and my job was to get healthy. And I read the China study and said, oh, wow, there's some truth to eating plants. And so over the next couple of years, I moved more and more to a whole food plant-based diet. In 2016, I gave up salt, oil, and sugar. And all of my markers are normal, and I take no medications, and I'm 77. I have energy. I get between 8,000 and 14,000 steps a day. I exercise. I do a lot of stimulating things in Manhattan, and it's to be 77 and be able to still do all the things that I'm doing is a gift. But if you just decide you're going to learn how to cook differently, it's actually simple. You have to get over the fact that other people aren't going to eat the way you do. And I'm a firm believer that the only way we really accomplish things is when we do them together. And understanding that each individual is different, and to meet people where they are and help them move, it saved my life. I think I would have been dead in my 60s if I hadn't changed to this way of eating. Eating whole food plant-based helps me live long and die short.
Many voices, one mission, health for all. Plant-powered Metro New York's 4th annual Plantathon celebration is back. My name is Leanna Levine Reisner, and I'm joining you from Manhattan. It's so great to be here again tonight, and really awesome to hear the story of Jackie Talbot, who you met on Tuesday night at the end of our program. Jackie's story is so inspirational, and she is now a member of our board of directors. And she is somebody who we really look up to. Over these 8 days, Plantathon 2025 celebrates the diverse and ever-expanding movement for health through plant-powered nutrition, not only in our Metro New York communities, but also across the country and the globe. Together, we're bringing about a healthier and more sustainable future by putting wholesome plants on our plates. For those who may not know us, Plant-Powered Metro empowers diverse residents and communities to achieve vibrant health and overcome chronic disease through whole food, plant-based nutrition. Eating plants can prevent, treat, and even reverse a wide array of health concerns and conditions. Please share about yourself in the comments as we go along with tonight's program so we can learn who's here, where you're joining us from, and what inspires you. So this is day 4 of Plantathon, offered in the spirit of Giving Tuesday, which was earlier this week. Plant-Powered Metro has made a commitment to give back to you through Plantathon while asking for your financial support of our mission today and throughout the giving season. We invite you to donate through the QR code or the link on your screen, which will also be shared in the comments. And every donation you make through the end of December will be matched by a generous anonymous donor. And anyone who donates or registers for Plantathon by this Sunday, December 7th, with or without a donation, will be entered to win one of many great Plantathon prizes. For more information about how to enter to win a Plantathon prize, you can see our official rules, which will also soon be linked in the comments. At the end of each of our live stream events, we'll announce the day's prize winners. Today's prizes include 5 items. We're so excited. The first is enrollment for 2 people in an online 2-week challenge, courtesy of Ethos Primary Care, and winners will be chosen from anywhere across the world. The next few prizes are for those who are local to the New York metro area. We have also 2 gift certificates of $25 each for the Doctor's Farm Market for fresh, regeneratively grown vegetables, fruits, and grains in Long Valley, New Jersey, courtesy of Ethos Farm to Health. And we have dinner for 2 at District Saigon in Astoria, Queens, a participating restaurant in our Plant-Powered Plates initiative. So hang around to see if you've won at the end of the program. And before we welcome today's guests, we would like to offer a hearty thank you to Plantathon sponsors, California Balsamic and Farm to People. Tonight, we're going to be joined by two great guys who have made a life out of plant-based living and teaching. We're joined by Chef Ramses Bravo from California and physician Dr. Matthew Lederman. Let's get to know Chef Bravo. What was great is we actually had one of his co-workers from the True North Health Center here on Tuesday night. Some of you may remember on Monday night we spoke with Dr. Chilla Varesh, and we are excited to bring two different guests from True North Health Center to your living rooms. Chef Ramses Bravo is the executive chef at True North Health Center and a leading expert in whole food, plant-based, SOS-free cuisine. For those who don't know, SOS-free stands for salt, oil, and sugar-free cuisine, which, if you have never heard of this and you think it's crazy, it can be done, and it is very healthy and very delicious. Chef Bravo is the author of Bravo and Bravo Express, teaching home cooks how to create flavorful, healing meals without salt, oil, or sugar. You can follow Chef Bravo at the links that we will again soon be posting in the comments. And we invite you to share your questions and comments as we speak with him. He's going to be demoing this evening a fresh holiday side, celery root slaw. I don't know about you, but celery root is one of those things that I just have not figured out how to master. And maybe some of you who are watching have no idea what celery root is. So we will learn what that is shortly. But there's wonderful things to do, not just with clean foods, but also with the whole foods themselves as they come from the earth. As we await Chef Bravo coming to our program, I just wanted to mention that we have a lot of great things coming up this weekend with Plantathon. Over the next 2 days, Friday and Saturday, it'll be Plantathon Throwback Night, where we have 2 replays from previous Plantathons and a bunch of new content all around it. And then on Sunday, we'll be back live streaming with Chef Carol Levy, who will be doing a holiday cooking demo. Always fun to cook in the kitchen with Chef Carol and the many great things that she makes from her seasonal garden. And this time she's going to be baking, which is her specialty. And on Monday, we will be back also with another live stream event. So as we're waiting here for Chef Bravo, I just wanted I'll tell you a story. So it's a fun time of year for our family. We just got back into our apartment post-renovation, and we're setting up our newly renovated kitchen, which is a wonderful opportunity, and yet there's still a lot of dust flying through the air, so we're having fun. And one of the things that I learned from being, let's say, in exile over the last number of months, going through a renovation, was that some of the kitchen tools that we have for making plant foods in foreign kitchens can be very, very helpful. So I'll tell you some of the appliances that were very, very helpful for us. One of them, of course, is the Instant Pot. We took our Instant Pot with us to many different kitchens throughout our time away. And what's great about it is it's not just a pressure cooker, but you can also make pasta in the Instant Pot. You can turn it on to a cook function, and it can easily, cook up a pot of pasta. I have made chilies and stews in my Instant Pot. I've also made steamed plenty of fresh vegetables in the Instant Pot. If you haven't tried it before, it's really quite fun, and there are different sizes and different price points for different budgets. It's a great one. We also decided to bring our blender with us. We have a Vitamix blender, and we are always thrilled at Plant Powered Metro New York to give away Vitamix blenders to other people through our giveaways. We'll be giving one away on Monday at our Plantathon conclusion program. And what we're going to do is, so anyway, I use my Vitamix for many things, but the thing that we do the most is make fresh smoothies for our kids. You may have been on a previous Plantathon when you saw my daughter make a video of her own smoothies made fresh, not necessarily in the Vitamix. We have a smaller magic bullet, which is really helpful. So here I am just sort of riffing on all of these great appliances that are that are available to us as we make healthy plant foods. I also can mention that on our website, we do have a big collection of recipes, and you can find a lot of recipes there, including the recipe for Chef Bravo's celery root slaw, which he'll be showing tonight. And we'll be sure that you get access to that afterwards if you have registered by sharing some of those links directly with you. So don't delay. If you haven't registered, you can still do that now. Okay. So we're still waiting for Chef Bravo. No problem though, because I can keep talking and I love talking to our audience. If you're here, I'm just going to check in on the comments and see who's around. Talk to me here. I see Gary from the Poconos, a place where I went as a kid and totally loved. Thanks for joining us, Gary. Who else is here? Let's see. Nice to have you all join us. So some other tidbits of insights from a whole food plant-based eater, one to another. This is, of course, the season when we have, it seems, less abundance of plant foods, seasonally speaking. We had all of the beautiful options from the summertime and the fall. The thing that I love as we transition into the winter months, what can you find now? You can find fresh cranberries. Cranberries are great because they're higher in iodine than some of the other foods that are in our staple, options for the season. Depending on where they come from, they might be higher in iodine. So, you can't rely on them for a source of iodine, but they're, of course, very sour. So if you want to eat them and you're not maybe into making cranberry relish or something like that, I like, again, to throw them into my smoothies with lots of sweet fruits, and they sort of balance out the sweetness with their sourness, and add some extra punch. We also, at this season, of course, we're starting to see a whole lot of citrus. We got Satsuma mandarins in our produce box this week, which are really easy to peel. They're really big and juicy. You can find all different kinds of citrus now. And of course, the greens are still abundant. All of those green leafy vegetables, collard greens and kale. If you haven't gone to town with those before, I think this is the time to really enjoy them. I see a question coming in from Gary. Yeah, can Chef Bravo or anyone talk about the importance of wheatgrass? Yes, and you get yours from Perfect Foods. That's right. So I'm going to make a shout out because next week in the city, Plant Powered Metro New York is working with Perfect Foods and the Green Feather Foundation to do a raw cleanse. We are meeting every day of the week from Sunday to Sunday to get together, make raw food meals and enjoy them together and do some learning. And we've got a group of about, I want to say 15 to 20 people who are doing that. If anyone's interested and you'd like to join us, you can contact us at info@ppmny.org and we can send you information, but it does require being in person. And I'm so excited. This is one of our first big collaborations with Rebecca from Perfect Foods, and they are going to be doing a whole lot of teaching on they do daily wheatgrass shots. There's all these sprouts that they grow on their farm and not far from here. It's not upstate New York, but across the river in New York. And generally, what we can say about the importance of wheatgrass, and I'll also have Chef Bravo comment on this when he's here, is that wheatgrass, like other greens, is abundant with so many different nutrients and minerals. And most of the time, we're eating wheatgrass completely raw. We're not cooking it. It's not losing any nutritional value when we're processing it into our foods. When you put it through a juicer or you get it blended up, you're still getting all of the great nutrients from wheatgrass. So it is totally fine. And then there's other benefits to it that I'm still learning myself as a newer wheatgrass drinker. I think I tried it for the first time this summer when I met Rebecca from Perfect Foods. So great question. Yeah. And Elaine, yes, cranberries. If there's other seasonal fruits and vegetables that you all are enjoying at this time, please let us know in the comments. I think that'll be really fun. I see Jamie here from Orange County. Welcome, welcome. Elaine joining me from my neighborhood in the Upper West Side of Manhattan. Good to see you. Awesome. All right. And I'll also riff on a theme too. Later in the day, we're going to meet Dr. Matthew Lederman. I'm so excited. We have him joining us because he and his family recently relocated from the West Coast to the East Coast and is going to be closer by. And we're going to be doing some in-person programs with Dr. Lederman and his wife, Dr. Alona Poolday, in the new year in 2026. So stay posted for more details about that. And what I have really loved about meeting lots of lifestyle medicine doctors these days is that many of them, nutrition is this like first taste of love with how lifestyle can make change. And then they go on to explore other fields of lifestyle and how those can interplay with how we eat and digest and how we can thrive. And so when we speak with Dr. Lederman later in the hour of Plantathon, we're going to be exploring connection medicine, which is a new field that he and his wife and a number of other physicians are really at the forefront of. There's so much to learn about that. Hello to Bryant. Thanks for joining us from the Bronx. I want to also give a shout out to Bryant while he's here as a thank you. Bryant, for the last number of months, has been doing some great work in the Bronx, sponsored by Emblem Health with Plant Powered Metro New York. We have been every single month offering a nutrition class on diabetes and food, doing a demo on how to make foods that'll lower your blood sugar. And Bryant, just before Thanksgiving, took a group of people out to one of the green markets in the Bronx to show them, how do we shop? How do we explore all of the great options in the season? And what do we do with them when we take them home? How do we store those foods? So there's always lots of fun happening here in the New York area, and things that maybe you in your communities can enjoy if you are not local. And if you're looking for ideas, first of all, we're always happy to give you some ideas, but also to link you up to other communities. One of the other great things that's happening this month is we Plant Powered Metro New York, are part of a larger network called Building Healthy Communities. It was originally called Plant Pure Communities Pod Network, which was started 10 years ago this month. And so later this month, there's going to be a virtual screening of Plant Pure Nation, along with Building Healthy Communities. And we're excited to join in that project and to celebrate 10 years of the growing movement of people who have made a difference in their communities and are building relationships and understanding and awareness in many, many different places all over the country and the world. It really is not just limited to the United States. I've met wonderful people through that network who are working in Canada, who are working in the UK, who are working in the EU and in South America and Central America. We are not alone. There are lots and lots of people out there who are learning and doing the kinds of work that we do here in the metro area. All right. Yeah, and I noticed, so I'm joined behind the scenes. You don't see her, but Karina Pierce is my partner in crime when it comes to the Plantathon. She has been a co-producer of this wonderful week. And she just posted a comment. Did anyone try a new dish for Thanksgiving? She said, I made a mushroom, oat, and lentil neat ball. That's a great way to call it. That was so good and tasted even better the next day. I do love that. Whenever I make a stew or a chili, I always wait until it like cools down, put it in the fridge, let the flavors all come together, and then it's always so much more flavorful the next day. I'll share a tidbit of my my Thanksgiving experience. Every year, my mother-in-law has I think I've mentioned this on a past Plantathon actually. Every year, my mother-in-law does a tofurkey dinner, which is on the Wednesday night before Thanksgiving. It was never actually a tofurkey brand event, but she did all sorts of things with tofu, and in recent years has been playing more with cauliflower as the featured ingredient of her dish that doesn't look like a turkey at all, but is the main affair. That's what people come for. And we ended up calling it cauliflurkey, which is a very strange term. I wouldn't recommend it for any menu anywhere, but this is how we have fun with food. This is how we have fun with the kinds of flavors that we can build. And she did a great job with it, putting that cauliflower together with a lot of different herbs and spices. It was a mystery food for sure. I couldn't tell what else was in it, and I didn't actually ask, but we all seemed to enjoy it quite a bit. Similar to, I'm sure, what you can build when you put mushrooms and oats and lentils all together. So hola, buenos noches. Nice to see you as well. So glad to have people joining us from other cultures and languages. If you speak another language, talk to us in that language. We're always happy to have you join us. Okay. And you know what? As we're waiting for Chef Bravo, I have a video I'd love to share with you from one of our advisors, Victoria Moran. She's been on a past Plantathon as well. And Victoria is one of those people who is, she's been in the field for so many decades and she's seen so many things, and she is still going strong and this wonderful mentor and advisor to so many people. So I'm going to share with you her story right now.
Hi, I'm Victoria Moran. I've written a lot of books, The Love Powered Diet, Age Like a Yogi, and I've eaten plant exclusive for 42 years. And part of my story is that I maintain a 60-pound weight loss with honestly no work, no effort, no stress at all. It's pretty magical. And you know what else is magical? Plant-powered Metro New York. I am thrilled that this organization exists and honored that I'm on the advisory board. Planned Parenthood Metro New York is in this era of divisiveness, bringing people together in all the best ways. They cut through any kind of differences individuals and groups of people might have to get to the point, which is making the wonderful benefits of plant-powered nutrition available to any New Yorker who wants it. They can show us what it does, how to do it, how to make it affordable, and how to make it work in the real world. So I have a vision, and that is that this plant-powered Metro New York model that brings in faith communities, the medical community, hospitals, elected officials, all kinds of allies, is going to spread around this country and, gosh, maybe around the world, so that from the Big Apple, we'll get everybody eating more apples and beans and greens and all the good foods that God gave us. Because let's face it, health is a gift that nobody wants to lose. And with what PPMY is offering, the ease, the convenience, the affordability, and the just downright feeling magnificent that comes from eating plants and getting some exercise and dealing with the pace of life, even in New York City, that gift of health becomes one to cherish and in many cases even regain. Thank you, PPMNY. I'm so grateful for everything that you've done, and the future looks downright dazzling.
That we can bring to the world together. So thank you, Victoria, for those beautiful words. And Joanne, good to see you joining us from Brooklyn. Joanne made a fall farm stand salad with fig vinaigrette. Wow, that sounds fantastic. I love the use of figs. This is the time of year. Figs obviously were they were a late summer food. We're usually harvesting them in the U.S. Around Labor Day weekend, and so you can do a lot with dried figs at this season. But that sounds really delish. Great. Okay, so we'll be joined very shortly by Dr. Lederman, and I just wanted to thank all of you for being here. Continue to share in the comments, what's been going on? What did you make for Thanksgiving? What are you thinking about in this season? How are you dealing with some of the stresses of the season? And how are you putting yourself first? This is a time when self-care is so, so, so important. And it's easy to get just sort of pulled into this really tough time that we're in general, and not to see a light at the end of the tunnel, but there is a light and we can be part of that light. So I will mention also, you may have seen earlier this week in some of our videos that we featured a bunch of the voices of folks who had been part of our Jumpstart program. And if you have not learned about the Plant Powered Jumpstart before, we invite you to join us in January for our next cohort. We run a program that helps people make the transition in a joyful way and in a very informed way to whole food plant-based nutrition. And we run it over the course of a month. We have live sessions online for people to join us from all over the country and even the hemisphere. We've had folks from all up and down Canada down to South America who've been in our Jumpstart programs. And so the next one will be starting January 22nd. Registration is now open on our website. And if you've been a part of a Jumpstart before and would like to share a little tidbit about your experience, feel free to do that in the comments or share about it with a loved one. This is the time to also reconnect with people, talk to them about what their hopes and dreams are, and maybe health and well-being is going to be part of their recipe for success in 2026. So we're excited to always offer a Jumpstart program in January when we have people who are ready to make a change. Maybe that's you, maybe that's your friend, maybe that's a distant cousin who you've been reconnecting with lately, who knows. And the beauty of what we heard from our testimonial on Tuesday with Simone and Sharika Sterling is you can do this as a family, you can do this with friends, you can do this together. The togetherness factor, it cannot be overstated here. Like, this is a very important piece of making change, doing it with people you love, people you enjoy being with. All right, so very soon we'll be joined by Dr. Lederman. And in the meantime, I wish I could make that celery root slaw myself, but I don't have one in my kitchen to be able to demonstrate. Usually when we make a slaw, some of us will use a food processor. If you have one of those, the pieces that go on the top and you can feed it through. Other people like using mandolins. If you're using a mandolin, make sure you have safety gloves to wear with those. Those are really important. It's easy to cut yourself on one of those kinds of tools. And you definitely want to be safe when you're making it. But they're really convenient for getting things chopped really, really fast. Welcome to Virginia from Manhattan. Thank you for being with us, Virginia. That's right. And Joanne, yeah, thank you. Joanne joined the Jumpstart with her husband. So it was really nice to have the two of them together. And we've got so many examples of people like that who are jumping in to make change with their spouse, with their partner, with their sister, with their child. And just to have that kind of togetherness is great. All right. Other news from out of New York City. Well, we are working hard. This is, year-end giving season, of course, but it's also a time when we've seen so much happening with food security. And one of the things that I have been really excited to see as somebody who's part of the leadership of Plant Powered Metro New York is how our city is really working on this as a collective. Plant Powered Metro New York is part of the Healthy NYC project, which is from the health department. And Healthy NYC is trying to get to help people with chronic disease to improve their longevity, to improve their health status, and to work all across government and across communities to make that happen. So a big piece of that, of course, is addressing food insecurity, but not just getting calories to people, but also getting nutrient-dense foods to people. And that's the thing that we are always advocating for at Plant Powered Metro New York. We want people to have access to fresh fruits and vegetables. We want them to understand that beans are a healthy part of their day-to-day lives, and you don't need to go to, canned fish or canned meats when you can potentially get canned beans, and they're much more healthful and even flavorful. Lots to do with that. So, all right, thank you. I see Julie joining us from the Bronx. Good to see you, Julie. And that's a new name for me. I hope to meet you at some point soon. And Matt Lederman will be with us very, very soon. So it will be exciting to meet him. Other news out of New York City. Let's see. We are also preparing to bring to you, we're going to have a big event in March. Drum roll, in about 2 weeks, we'll be sending out a save the date to celebrate our 7th anniversary. So we hope you'll join us mid-month in March. More details coming soon. And anybody else, other ideas from your Thanksgiving table that you'd like to share? I'm sure that many of you got really creative this season, and maybe some of you struggled. Let's talk about that for a minute. Struggle is part of this process as well. We have lots of folks in our community who may be navigating through a Thanksgiving that wasn't exactly what you planned for. Maybe you brought a dish of your own to make the table more inclusive of your needs. And that's something we need to do to prioritize our health. And hopefully over time, the people who you join with at those family gatherings will be even more inclusive of you. All right. So I'm really excited that we now have Dr. Matt Lederman in the house. And I'm going to offer a proper introduction for Dr. Lederman as he's here. Dr. Matthew Lederman is a board-certified internal medicine physician and a pioneering thought leader in whole person health. Renowned for his integration of plant-based nutrition, nonviolent communication, trauma-informed care, and lifestyle medicine, Dr. Lederman's work emphasizes the profound link between emotional regulation, safety physiology, and physical healing. That is huge. And I'm so excited to unpack that with Dr. Lederman shortly. His approach is rooted in the science of how the nervous system heals when it shifts into states of connection and safety. Dr. Lederman is co-author of 6 books, including the New York Times bestseller, The Forks Over Knives Plan, and of course was featured in the acclaimed documentary Forks Over Knives. His latest book, Wellness to Wonderful, co-authored with his wife, Dr. Alona Poolday, weaves together medical science, psychology, and spirituality into a framework for lasting well-being and joy. You may also know Dr. Lederman from his recent teamwork with Chef AJ on her YouTube channel. So Dr. Lederman, we're really happy to have you here. Karina is going to put in our chat for everybody the links on how to follow you, how to find you online. And of course, as we go, if anybody has questions for Dr. Lederman, please feel free to ask and we'll get to them as we go along. But welcome. Great to have you.
Oh, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you. So Dr. Lederman, you've been promoting plant-based nutrition for a while now, and I'm curious to ask you, what did you notice about your patients or maybe even yourself that led you to explore the role of emotional and relational connection in health, going beyond nutrition?
Yes, so the amazing thing about diet and lifestyle is it treats and it cleans the slate. It reverses disease extremely effectively for a lot of chronic diseases. But then there were issues that people would still deal with that the diet alone was essential. It was part of the recipe for healing, but it wasn't the full plan, if you will. So things like chronic pain, chronic fatigue, uh, panic attacks, anxiety, sleeping issues, gut issues, irritable bowel, bloating, things like that, tinnitus, TMJ. We would get people that would have these issues, and as much as you tweak the diet and look for food sensitivities and exercise and do all of those things, it wouldn't fix that. And that's when we started exploring other modalities and seeing the benefits and the impact that tending and helping to retune the autonomic nervous system could have powerful impact. And that was a big missing piece.
That's amazing. And I'm like really curious to unpack all of those different conditions that you mentioned, but I'll hold off for a moment because you talk about connection as a core health factor. So what is it about healthy connections that influences our physical health, our stress response, and our healing capacity?
Yeah. And I want to emphasize that focusing on one or the other is problematic. If you just do the diet and don't focus on connection, you're not going to reap the benefits. But similarly, if you just focus on connection, people that are just using meditation or yoga and are extremely regulated, but their diet is out of whack, they also don't get better. So it's about putting all these pieces together. It's cumulative. It's not either or. And the way that it takes a lot longer than we have to really explain it, but if I'm going to try and simplify it, the body does not heal well when it's in what we call threat physiology or threat mode. If it doesn't, if it doesn't perceive that it's safe, that it can relax, we turn on certain pathways and turn off other ones that will improve our ability to fight threat. And when those are on, whether it's our immune system cells fighting threat from invaders, or it's adrenaline flowing through our bodies, or we turn off oxytocin and it's our love and connection hormone, and because we're saying, hey, this is not, we don't have to worry about that. Let's focus on the threat. We decrease our ability to fight viruses and focus on bacterial infection because we're going to cut our skin and we're going to get into trouble from that. So we need to be able to fight bacteria. All of that happens when we're in this threat physiology, but it also, when we're in threat physiology, we turn off the signals that go to our gut to tell our gut to function properly. They change signals in our immune system cells that are normally able to fight cancer, but we say, okay, because we can only put our focus in one place or the other. We can't fight threat and do the rest and digest and reproduce Our body sort of has to pick where is it going to put its resources. So that's why we have to get ourselves out of this threat physiology. And you can't, a lot of people will say, I think I'm safe. What are you talking about? I don't ever feel like I'm under threat. But it's not about what you think, it's what you're experiencing from your environment. And so many people have conditioned threat responses just from growing up in trauma, how they live their lives, the TV they watch, the way they interact with their relationships, that make it very difficult for their body to experience a sense of safety. And there's different ways to do that, but there's two steps: understanding how this works. And then once you buy into this, what do you actually do differently to create that sense of safety?
That's amazing. Can you give us a few of those tools that you offer to people to build that sense of safety?
Yeah. So, and just to give you an idea, the connection is one of our ways of creating safety. We are pro-social. We are a pro-social species, and when we connect with other people, in fact, we regulate off of other people. And everybody's been around someone who stresses them out. Their energy is tight, frenetic, whatever. And then we've been around people that, oh, when I'm around them, I can just take a deep breath and I feel calmer. So that connection with other people is one of the most powerful ways to turn on a sense of safety and turn off that threat physiology. And just to give, I mean, this affects your inflammatory pathways, your blood pressure, your digestion, your immune system, hormone balance. So it's very, very important that people realize that not only does diet affect those things, but this physiological sense of safety, and how do we turn that on? So some ways to do that um, can sound soft. You know, there's this idea of, oh, this is just in your head, or this is emotional, but it's actually not soft. It's quite powerful. But things like naming what you feel without judging it. So instead of feeling an unpleasant feeling and then trying to make it go away by controlling your environment, which is quite stressful, you can actually name what you feel and grow the ability to tolerate your unpleasant experiences. And when you do that, you lose the need to try and control your external circumstances to make those feelings go away, because you don't have the ability to tolerate those feelings. And they feel unsafe when we have them, and we have to make them go away. So your body actually reacts to that. So naming what you feel, so you can say, oh, I'm feeling tension right now. I'm feeling a little nervous. I want to, let's say I'm talking right now to you, and I feel a little nervous, and I want to make sure I really contribute to the audience, and I share stuff that's meaningful, and that, or maybe it's even deeper. Maybe I'm having a need for acceptance and a sense of worth. And if people don't like what I say, I've attached my worth to what other people think of me and if they approve of me or not. So as we deepen into those things, I could mobilize into threat just by coming over here and speaking, because my worth is on the line, and my acceptance is on the line, and my sense of competence is dependent upon how other people perceive me. All of that shifts our nervous system in a way that increases everything from inflammation to digestive issues to immune, even impairs our ability to fight the spread of cancer. So naming what you feel, slowing your breath before responding, taking a second to separate from reaction to a response that you're choosing. A lot of people just react to whatever just stimulus just came, especially if it's upsetting to them, versus someone just noticing, I'm really upset right now. And in fact, this happened to me last night when the kids were fighting, and I was just like, I put my hand on my head and I go, oh, I do not like this at all. And then I was like, okay. And normally I might have said something like, you know what, you guys, I can't take you when you're like this, and walk away. And that's shaming to them. And that's just blurting out a little bit of toxicity because I'm frustrated. Or I could focus on connection, which is just connecting to myself and saying, oh, I don't really like this. And I think the best thing for me to do is to disengage as connected as possible. So I'm just going to walk away and come back in about a half an hour. So that self-connection immediately shifts my physiology and my body just by doing that. Even if your needs aren't being met in the moment, identifying them, like, oh, I really I have a need for peace and ease right now. And that is not happening when I hear these kids bicker. So that's another one. And then another one would be like, what do I need right now? Just what would I love right now? What would be something? So instead of pointing out, a lot of people, when their needs aren't met, they try to find people to blame. They try to point out what they're doing wrong. And that's very disconnecting and increases a sense of threat because we're about to get into conflict, especially if I tell them, or I'm going to suppress, which is also telling me that it's not safe to share. Again, threat physiology. So
Hmm.
there's all these ways that we can turn on threat physiology. And when we're living in threat physiology chronically, that's when a lot of these chronic diseases don't go away or come on.
Right. Wow. I mean, what you're talking about is daily practices for just living in better connection with people writ large. Like, put the chronic disease issues aside for a moment. I'm thinking about, my relationship with my kids when things are not going well for their day. How do I respond? Right.
Mhm.
People at work, right? You have somebody who is a supervisor who has one of those personalities that's just too big for the room, and you feel it. And everything you were talking about with acceptance, like those things, people have, we all carry that kind of baggage every day. And sometimes we know that it's there, but we don't know that we're internalizing it in the ways that
Yeah,
right?
I think that's the big piece, is that we're in our heads a lot and
Mm.
we're not really connected to our bodies. And we grew up, a lot of people grew up in very tense environments at home,
Yeah.
and they almost normalize this internal tension versus, and let alone don't have a model to follow for doing it differently, or even a grid for doing it differently. They just assume this is the normal way to feel, just like people eating the American diet for their whole lives didn't realize they could feel differently until they tried a plant-based diet.
Right.
It's similar here. I didn't realize that what I thought was normal was not actually a normal physiological state. It was a very hyper mobilized state.
Mm.
So it is quite fascinating, and it's internalized. In fact, nonviolent communication was my doorway to a lot of this work, and it was life changing for me. And not
Mm.
only in how I communicated, but then I had a problem with chronic back pain,
Mm.
and that was how I first stumbled upon this work. And it was a combination of these things, but this chronic back pain, that I was miserable, and my diet was pristine, and my exercise and my stretching, and I did all the stuff I was supposed to do, and it wouldn't go away. And then within about a month of this work, pain was gone. So it's you know it's amazing, and that's why we love working with people that the conventional system says, well, there's nothing more we can do. We've done every test, we've done everything we can, and they've tried different diets and they're still miserable. Those are the people we love working with.
That's amazing. Yeah. I'd love to hear, I mean, you talked about nonviolent communication already and this bodily awareness, also the idea of somatic awareness. Can you give us an example of a practice from one of these disciplines? I know you've already done a few of these things. Maybe it's something you've used for yourself with your back pain or something. Maybe there's a case study of a patient you've worked with. Just give us some concrete examples so people can walk away with something tangible.
So a concrete example of what?
Of
Just real quick.
either practicing nonviolent communication or some kind of somatic awareness. One of the
Yeah.
tools in the toolkits you're talking about.
Yeah, so nonviolent communication is a way to think and approach people differently, so that you increase the chances that you connect to this person and you get your needs met. So if you're doing something I don't like, or there's something about me that I don't like, I can approach it in the way that a lot of people do in the conventional culture, which is to, like I said, say what is wrong with that person. For example, you're talking too much, or you are rude. And not only does that disconnect me because I'm attacking you, I'm not really connected to what I would love, what's going on in me. It's also unlikely to get my needs met, because I'm going to push you away or get you either into a defensive or ashamed posture, or you might attack back. All of those are going to disconnect, and it's going to mobilize me. And we've all sent those text messages where we wish we didn't send them, and we're just waiting for the hit back. We're like, oh my God. But what's interesting is, if you send a really caring, connected, nonviolent communication focused text message, you're actually excited to get the text back. And it's the same thing when I send something out verbally to you. If I say, oh, I imagine, I know you have all these wonderful things to say. At the same time, I have these things I really want to say too. I would love to be able to have some more mutuality because I really want to be heard too. And I want to hear what you're saying. So I'm wondering if you'd be willing to talk for a couple minutes and then I talk for a couple minutes and we could take turns telling each other what we're hearing is important to the other person. So that's a different way of saying it. But do you see how that's honoring the other person and me? And it's increasing the chances I'm going to meet my need to be heard versus calling you rude or inconsiderate.
Right.
And not only does that make a better relationship, but that shifts physiology in my body. Because if I call you rude, I tighten up, I go into a defensive posture because I know this is going to increase conflict. And I'm waiting for you to hit me back in some way. Versus when I said it the way I did, I'm sending out love and care and I'm opening my heart and I'm seeing your heart. I come together, my body is going to feel a sense of safety. Not only does that feel good, it shifts our physiology in a way that heals a lot of these chronic health issues.
That's amazing. So I'd love to hear these examples. Obviously, digestion, what's the connection there? How does it actually play out in the body that the sense of lack of safety plays into digestion?
So there's lots of ways. So there's hormones fluctuating throughout our body that on and off. There's at the mitochondrial level, there's something called the cell danger response and how extracellular ATP is increased or decreased based on whether we're in a defensive or aggressive posture versus a safety physiology. Like I talked about the hormone oxytocin, which a lot of people think of as the love hormone, and vasopressin, those turn on and off based on whether we think we're in a defensive, aggressive versus safe posture. So at sort of every level, at the one of the immune system cells, gene expression, there's something called the conserved transcriptional response to adversity, and that basically, when that gets activated, or that it's increasing inflammation, it's decreasing our ability to fight viruses, it's decreasing our ability to fight cancer spread. And what they find is that things like chronic unpredictable stress, where you're sort of living in that, it's not the big stress, it's the little stressors that are unpredictable, like with a partner at home or at school with a bully, friends that are not actually always consistently caring. So all of that can turn on the immune system cells that that increase that inflammatory response. It shifts and it changes gene expression at the immune of the DNA and of the immune system cells.
Mm-hmm.
So at every level, in fact, one of the biggest triggers of that of the immune system cells I was talking about is loneliness and lack of meaning and purpose. So when you're people who are lonely and people who lack meaning and purpose, they're going to have those pro-inflammatory, and they're going to lose their ability to fight viruses effectively, and they're going to lose their ability to fight the spread of cancers effectively when they have those issues. So do you see how this is what was fascinating to me was if we're really trying to heal people, we got to address all of these things. And then at the vagus nerve, this is really interesting. The polyvagal theory talks about the vagus nerve, and that innervates the gut it innervates the heart, it innervates the lungs. But we need signals coming from our brain saying that we're safe, coming in through our senses, our eyes, our skin, our ears, and it's going to take in all these stimuli, and it's going to assess how safe are we. And if it thinks we're safe, it's going to send signals down to our gut through the vagus nerve to say, we're good, you can do digestion normally. And if it takes in signals, for example, loud noises that are unfamiliar, and we see bars on a window and we're watching a violent movie and our partner is pulling away and our kids are yelling, all of a sudden it's taking in those signals and it's going to say, oh, we're not as safe. So it's going to pull off the signals that your gut needs to perform normally. And it's going to move resources out to the limbs. It's going to shift blood from the front of your brain to the back of your brain. And it's basically going to say, hey, we got to prepare to defend ourselves or to attack. So those are just some examples of how our bodies are innervated at all these different levels.
That's amazing. And you mentioned even with tinnitus, which is a ringing in the ears, what's the connection there?
So it's interesting. That's similar to chronic pain,
Mm,
where our nervous system can turn on, because tinnitus is there's not actually ringing, there's the perception of ringing. Just like there's certain pain is always created in the brain, and it can be turned on in the brain appropriately, like if I broke my finger, but it can also be turned on inappropriately where your body is experiencing threat and it's trying to protect you, because pain is trying to protect you.
mm,
It's basically trying to protect the area that's hurt to keep it still so it can heal or whatever's, so you don't keep injuring it. And your brain can turn on different neural pathways accidentally in response to this chronic danger that we're not getting out of. So if our body is this constant state of danger, they talk about allostatic load as this stress load increases. When that happens, our brain tries to help us, and it can turn on old pain pathways, from tissue damage that has healed. It can hypersensitize us to pain so that things that wouldn't normally hurt do get experienced as pain, and it can turn on other things like it can cause this experience of ringing, this perception of ringing. It can cause nausea. It can cause fatigue. It can cause all these perceptions because we can get fatigued normally when we're actually tired, but we can also get fatigued when our body doesn't need rest just because we're either shutting down or our brain is turning it on inappropriately.
mm,
So once people understand how that works, then we can help them experience these signals differently versus when they feel pain and they think there's something wrong. And then it's a cycle that makes them even more nervous and more scared, which then hypersensitizes them even more. The same thing with ringing. If they think that there's something wrong and their brain is not working or their ears are broken, they start getting nervous and then they start looking for it and like, oh, do I hear ringing now? Do I not? And that can actually perpetuate it. So there's a way through these sessions together that we explain this, normalize this, and then help them approach it differently. It's the same thing with panic attacks, anxiety, and it's quite powerful.
wow. That's tremendous. I'm just thinking about how, like, first of all, how fragile we are, but at the same time, the malleability of our minds and our bodies. Like, we have to believe in it to do it. And
Yeah.
that's what I see from you. Like, you're somebody who's not just understanding the science of it, but you're coaching people to work through
Yes.
these things, right?
Yeah. If they don't believe it, it's very challenging because if they don't believe it, that means they believe something else, which means
Mm,
they believe there's something wrong with them.
yeah.
And if they believe there's something wrong with them, that's going to keep them in this threat physiology. So part of my job is to explain how there's nothing in many cases they can have signs of for example, you can do an MRI on 100 people that are in their 60s, and 50 of them are going to have all sorts of problems on their MRI and abnormalities,
Hmm.
but they don't necessarily have pain. But so when I have someone come and they say, oh, I have a scan and it shows this disc here and this disc there, and that must be my pain, and then they have a doctor that told them that's why they're having pain, they go into this spiral where we have to explain to them that actually that's not what's causing your pain. And there could be 100 people with those same changes on their MRI, and 50 or more of them will have no symptoms at all. And then there'll be people with much less significant changes on their MRI, and they have significantly more pain than you do.
Hmm.
So once they understand how pain works, and we can help them feel safe despite the changes, then we can give them tools because undoubtedly they all have all sorts of stressors in their lives. And we broke it down to 9 of them. And that's what in our book, Wellness to Wonderful, we had the essence of We Heal, which was basically these 9 pillars that you can tend to basically start to decrease this load that I was talking about.
That's amazing. It's so interesting, and it also like brings up this other area which we should discuss briefly, which is there's a lot obviously that's caused by poor nutrition, lack of exercise, all of that, and it's hard to know exactly what's causing what, but the causality, of course, is going to go multiple ways, right? We're going to have lots of different stressors all contributing to similar kinds of issues. So maybe for those of our viewers who may not have already gotten on the path to nutrition as a way of addressing their chronic disease issues or their pain issues, we definitely want to encourage that, but then to add this other layer of self-recognition. So how do you connect these two when you're, talking with your patients,
Right.
bringing connection and nutrition together into their wellness plans?
Right. I tell people to focus on the low-hanging fruit. So there's usually dietary changes we can make, even if they don't want to be 100% plant-based. We can clean up the diet with minimal stress for a lot of people. So I'll say, what are you willing to do? I'll ask them for their deal breakers, and we'll stay away. I say, I won't touch your deal breakers. I'll ask them, how many meals are you willing to let me play with? And how many do you not want to touch? Some people will say, I go out to dinner Friday and Saturday nights, and I don't want you to mess with those meals, but everything else you can touch. I'm like, okay, well, that gives me 19 out of 21 meals that I can do whatever I want with.
Mm.
Then they're like, whoa, when you put it that way, maybe there's a couple, they get a little nervous. But you see, you start to say, hey, I'd rather say, okay, well, how about I just play with 15 meals? How about I take all of your breakfasts and just your lunches during the week? And then you can do whatever you want on the weekends. What's interesting is they start to feel good during the week,
Mm.
and then they want to start and making changes, and they don't care about some of the stuff they thought they would care about, and then they are internally motivated to continue making different changes. And that's what I'm really seeking, is that internal motivation, versus a lot of people will start diets and they'll say, tell me what to eat, what's the right thing, I'll just do whatever you say, and they're still externally driven. And that's not what I care about. I care about doing this for the rest of your life. And people that are focusing on rules that they need to follow versus figuring out what feels good base, they can use the rules as a base, but ultimately figuring out a way to make it work for them, that's what makes them successful long term.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with this self connection. It's, hey, maybe some of this stuff doesn't resonate with you, but this other stuff does. Let's figure out what we can play with first. Maybe it's the communication stuff. Maybe it's the self connection, the somatic stuff. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's just starting to look at these things and see why your body doesn't like to talk about feelings. Like, you don't even want to get into nonviolent communication because you have such an aversion. But even that self connection to your aversion to talking about feelings is self connection. So, that to me is the key of helping them realize there's not one right way. It's this journey of starting to make what you put into your mouth and what comes out of your mouth and what you do to your body, all of that matters. And let's start paying attention to all that.
That's so beautiful. We could spend hours talking to you, Dr. Lederman. Thank you so much. I have one closing question to ask you, which we're asking all of our guests on Plantathon this year. And it's this: where do you see great opportunity for others in our movement to make an impact?
Where do I see others?
Yeah, how can our viewers, how can other people in our movement make an impact these days? Where do you see great opportunity?
I think instead of trying to change other people, focus on how you show up. Focus on how you eat, how you talk about what you eat. Focus on how you talk to people, how you express your feelings, how you express your unmet needs, how you celebrate, how you help other people feel welcome and accepted, versus thinking about what's right and wrong and what they're doing that's right or wrong. So I think to me, I would say the biggest power we have is how we show up. And there's this ripple effect that is amazing. It's very powerful and it's significant. Don't underestimate the power of just focusing on how you show up.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Really, really important for all of us to take in and to really try and practice together. So, Dr. Lederman, we are going to do all that we can to help follow in your footsteps and to follow your example. And I'm really looking forward to more collaboration in the new year with you. So good to
Oh,
have you
thank
here.
you. Thank you. Yes, me too. Happy New Year too.
Happy New Year. All right. So, wow, what a conversation, and what an important way to sort of put the lens back on ourselves, to think about who are we, how are we showing up with people, how are we communicating with others, and how do our interpersonal relationships and experiences impact our health and well-being alongside other important aspects of lifestyle like nutrition. So now I'm so excited to welcome Chef Ramses Bravo, who is joining us from California. Chef Ramses is the executive chef at True North Health Center. Great to see you. Welcome.
Hello.
And he is really a leading expert in not just plant-based cooking, but cooking without salt, oil, and sugar. You've published a bunch of cookbooks, but the real secret sauce to your work is the work that you do day to day at True North. Chef Bravo, will you just give us a little bit about your story and your early experiences that brought you into this movement?
Oh, first of all, let me apologize for being late. I'm getting married in a few months, and I have total wedding brain. So
that's
I
that's like the best reason to be late. And we riffed. We had fun without you for the moment, but we're really happy to have you and very excited for your upcoming wedding.
luckily I left everything like ready to go.
Great.
So now that I'm here, it's like I'm ready.
Great.
So I come from regular cooking. I grew up wanting to be a chef. The typical, if it moved, there was a way to cook it, slice it, serve it, eat it kind of thing. And just by the way the universe works, I found myself working for True North. It's kind of a long story, but the very short version is that my mom, who owns a hair salon, had a client who was also a client of True North, where I work. So she was kind of following my path. And then suddenly she realized that I was unemployed at the time. I was getting ready to start my own thing. She's like, oh, I know a guy who's looking for a chef. And that's how I made the connection with my boss, Alan Goldhammer. And that's how I started. It was like cold turkey, essentially.
Amazing.
Like, you can cook, but no salt, no sugar, no oil. And it was quite an adjustment. But I always tell people when they hear about the way I cook, they get really scared and like, oh my God, I don't know anything about this. I know cooking, but I don't know anything of the way you do it. And I tell them it's the same way. We use a knife, we use a cutting board, we use a stove, we use pans, we stir, we flip. We do it exact same way. We just don't use the oil, salt, and sugar.
Right.
So it's not like we reinvent the wheel every day. We just sort of redirect it a little. And that helps people just sort of calm them down and like, oh, okay.
Wonderful. Yeah. I'd love to see your handiwork. Do you want to demo for us?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great.
So I'm going to switch the computer
Sure.
to my cutting board. There you go.
Yeah.
Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. So let me turn on my hood light. See if it gives just a little bit more light. There you go. Okay. So we have here a celery root. So I'm going to make a celery root slaw for you. It's sort of I don't know, it's funky looking.
I'd call it ugly. Yeah.
It looks nice and white like this. So basically, I'm just going to take a few thin slices. And if at any point in time you'd like me to slow down and show something again, maybe if I go over it just a little. There we go.
There you go.
So I'm just making thin slices so that I can then cut across the other way and make them into matchsticks. There we go, one more. Okay, now like a deck of cards, so to speak. And cut them this way. Until we end up with these little.
Great. I'll just emphasize for our viewers how wonderfully you're holding that celery root, because the way your hands are clawed, this is a true chef at work, everyone.
Yeah, I'll give you a little cutting technique demo here. So we have, this is how I teach my knife skills workshop. So we do a pinch and tuck on the knife where we pinch where the blade meets the handle. And then the tuck is the rest of your fingers tucked underneath. And then with your other hand, we make bunny ears so that we use the first knuckle here as our guide. So as we cut, the knife is actually, I turn it just a little bit more, there we go. So once I cut, my knife is in constant contact with my knuckle, but my fingertips are tucked in out of the way so they don't get cut. So that's how we do that. Okay. Now, one thing about celery root is that it turns, it will oxidize quickly. So now that I have it in my bowl, I'm going to immediately add my orange juice to it. And this will prevent it from browning. So now I'll set that to the side. And then I'll show you what I have here is a mixing bowl and pomegranate. I'm going to cut into it. I'm basically just piercing the skin. I'm not cutting into it. And I'll just go all the way around so that I meet my first cut. Then I go ahead and rip it open.
So funny. I was just at Trader Joe's today. Wow. And I talked to somebody about the pomegranate in my cart. And they said, how do you open it? And here we go.
We go this way. And one of the reasons I like doing this is because a lot of people love pomegranates, but they shy away from them because they think it's a pain. Mm. So here we go. Once we have it cut, all I do is I take the back of my knife and then I just tap it. And I think you can hear all the pomegranate seeds falling into the mixing bowl.
It's raining pomegranate kernels.
Yeah. And then I just take a look, and say, oh, okay, I need to tap it a little bit more here and here and here. There you go. See? Seeds.
That's
out.
Amazing.
And then we do have to take a little bit of time to pick up any of this white membrane. So it does take a little bit of time doing that. But, after a few seconds, then I have all my pomegranate seeds here.
Magic.
So that's how we can easily do pomegranates. Okay. So I'm then going to go ahead and add my celery root in with the pomegranates. The orange juice is both there to prevent the celery root from oxidizing and as well as be part of the sort of like the dressing itself. So that's our moisture. Okay. Next is we're going to add our persimmons. So I have this couple of beautiful persimmons that we have a persimmon tree in one of the units at True North. So I went and picked some out yesterday, and that's what I have here. So this is a fuyu persimmon. It's sort of a tomato shape. Then there's the haichia persimmons, which are more acorn shaped. The haichias you don't want for this because haichia persimmons, they need to be really, really soft in order for us to be able to use them. But fuyus, you can just slice and eat. They're ready to go. If you were to try that with a haichia, you'd get a very astringent sort of mouthfeel, and it would stick with you for hours. So you don't want to do that. So remember, tomato-shaped persimmons is the ones we bite into.
We were just having that conversation with our staff at our last meeting about the difference between these persimmons. So thanks for bringing that up.
Okay. And you had asked me to do a seasonal recipe, and right now there's nothing more seasonal than pomegranates and persimmons. So that's why I chose this guy here.
Love it.
All right, so we're gonna do waters here, and go ahead and add them to the bowl. All right. Now, one thing that people might want to know is that citrus, such as the orange juice that I have here, or lemon juice, lime juice, grapefruit, citrus all around, they go really well with mint. So that's why we're going to use mint here. So the dressing then really becomes a combination of the orange and the mint together. So I have this beautiful mint.
And with mint, you always only use the leaves and not the stems, right? Whereas
Correct.
with other herbs, you might use stems.
Correct. So with mint, it's just the leaves. But if you were dealing with cilantro and parsley, you can use the stems on those. Let's see. I think those are the only two that I can think of off the top of my head. Sure, well, I guess you could also do that. Use the stems. But yeah, mint, definitely just the leaves. Rosemary, just the leaves. Oregano, thyme, tarragon, just the leaves. I'm not going to do a big cut here. All I'm trying to do is to get these big leaves to be more bite size. So I'm basically just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. Okay. So it's starting to look like this. Excuse me, I forgot my serving. And so we stir. You see the combinations of colors, flavors, and textures. So in this particular salad, there is nothing here at random. So we have these white pieces together with orange and greens and reds, and we have sweet items and the persimmons and the pomegranates, and we have this juicy texture there with the orange juice, and we have this very earthy, obviously very minty flavor from the mint itself. A little slightly salty from the celery root. So there's, when I put dishes together, that's what I try to focus on: flavors, colors, and textures. A mixture of. And so I'm gonna plate it now, and it's gonna show up a little bit better because it'll be on a white dish versus a metallic bowl. There we go. And you guys have the recipe. I just did a quick version here, just enough to show for the bowl, but obviously, yes, you can scale this and you can multiply the amount of ingredients so that there's enough for everybody. I basically just did enough for one person. So here we go. It looks a little bit better. And now our final item for crunch is we have our roasted pistachios. Not salted, just roasted. We roast nuts and seeds so we get more flavor out of them, but we leave the salt out. And so essentially, we have, again, this combination of sweet and a little bit of sour there from the the tartness of the orange juice. We got this earthy flavor and a nutty there from the pistachios. And we have soft textures and crunchy textures and what I like to call bursty textures, because when you bite into a pomegranate seeds, you get this burst of juice out and a soft texture from the persimmons. And then once again, we got the white and the red and the green and the orange. So it's just a bowl full of contrast between colors, flavors, and textures, and it tends to work out pretty well.
That's awesome. I love it. And I also love, for a seasonal dish, often, as for us, at least in the Northeast, as the weather gets colder, we're looking for warmer things. But this is just bursting with the goodness of raw foods. And I love it.
I'm going to switch you back to a front view here.
Yeah, great. I have to show you, because I've got my hachia persimmons here, which are still hard. So don't worry, I'm not going to touch it yet. But I love the fuyu, and just the ways that we can use them in dishes is so great.
Yeah, you definitely want to wait for that guy to be like jelly soft.
Falling apart.
Yeah. It's almost like with those is like, oh, they're completely overripe. They're like gooey. I don't want that anymore, but that's actually the perfect place for those.
Yeah, I'm going to play a little bit, maybe pop these into a smoothie or something, but I love what you've made here. Thank you.
Once they're starting to get ripe, some parts will be still sort of firm, and it'll start softening up on others. If you're kind of in a rush, you can throw them in the freezer and finish them off there in a day. But they have to at least be halfway gooey. So if you throw that one in the freezer now, it won't get to where you want it.
Gotcha. That's so helpful. I feel like we've gone deep on things that people don't really know a lot about. Like persimmons were new to me as a whole food plant-based eater. Celery root was new to me also. And how else would you prepare celery root, Chef Bravo?
Oh, celery root is amazing because the first time I came across it, the first time I was exposed to it, I was working in this hotel, and we steamed them like potatoes. And then they went into a mash thing. So we were mimicking mashed potatoes, but we were putting celery root and white beans together and making a mashed celery root. Like
Wow.
That. And I thought, oh, wow, this is very interesting because, again, it's got that sort of salty flavor. But then I thought, okay, so we cooked this thing. And then the chef next to me, oh, no, you can do it raw as well. So I started trying it as I was prepping it, taking little bites, and it's just ended up being such a versatile thing that it became a regular thing for me. And I think as you were talking about plant-based journey, one of the things is that we want to try new things so that we can increase, especially if you come from regular food and you're trying to get away from that and, sort of see if this plant-based thing works for you. Well, suddenly there's all this deficit of items that you can no longer eat. And so you lose, all these things. So it's a great idea for me. I always tell people, try new stuff like celery root, like fennel, like certain spices and seeds that maybe you hadn't tried before. And not just one way, but maybe like celery root, in this case, raw, okay? But then maybe steam it and see if you like that flavor and you like that texture. So that we then add things. So we increase the number of things we are able to eat. And instead of feeling this sort of scarcity thing, we're like, oh no, we're in a point where, we can try new things and add them to our repertoire, our list of ingredients. And so that becomes very helpful because then there's more variety. And I think people sometimes think, oh, now that I'm plant-based, I have so little options. I'm like, no, there are a lot of things out there that you can eat and maybe you haven't tried. And so it's time to get a little adventurous.
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing the adventure into our lives at this season. And I want to wrap up our time together just by asking you the question we're asking all of our speakers during Plantathon, which is, where do you see great opportunity in our movement for people to make an impact?
Um, that's on an everyday sort of basis,
Yes.
but it's a tricky thing. And I went through this myself when I became the chef at True North, and I wanted to share with my family everything that I was learning, and all these new things I was doing. And they basically said, "Yeah, we're not interested." So when you guys post that question to me, this is what I wanted to give as an answer. It's very tempting to want to share all this new information with the world, but I've seen it many times with friends, with family, with all of the patients that we see at True North. It becomes counterproductive to try and preach to others when they haven't asked. So what I say is, especially now that we're in the holidays, so I like to bring dishes, and this is one of the things that people love now. People meaning my family. So when I show up with this, they now love it. But when I brought it the first time, I just had it, set it down on the counter, and I didn't say anything. If you show up to a potluck, a family reunion, or gathering, and you say, "Oh, eat this; it's healthy." That's like saying, "Don't eat this; you won't like it." And again, we want to share all this information with the world and tell them all the benefits of it, but just wait until they ask. When they ask, by all means, tell them everything. Okay. So now, when I showed up with this the first time, people thought it was interesting. It was very colorful, but I didn't label it as healthy, as vegan, plant-based, or anything. And so they actually were curious to try it. And once you try this, you love it. And so now every time I bring this, they're like, "Oh, you brought it. Excellent. Thank you." So it's those little things that actually make progress. I always tell people, it's going to be very hard to convert somebody, but if you can, we eat somewhere in the 21 meals a day or per week, 7 days, 3 meals a day. So 21 meals. If you can inspire somebody to get away from the regular food, and now you've given them a choice, and they start doing 3, 4 plant-based meals, and they don't think themselves as a plant-based eater or a vegan or whatever. But if you give them those options, it's much better, I think. Think about, I don't know what the population in America is, but if we try to convert, I don't know, 1,000 people and have them be 100%, is not as impactful overall if we can get the whatever 200 million people in America and have them do 2 meals a week, and then maybe 3 meals, and then slowly but surely we make a better impact that way. And at the very least, now everybody's like, "Oh, there are some plant-based options." And especially like when you go to gatherings, when you go to restaurants, it becomes more of a normal thing. So I think that's how, as a chef, that's how I see the potential for more impact in this movement. I don't know if that all that spiel made sense.
It's great. And what a beautiful gift you give to people with the food that you make every day, Chef Bravo, whether it's family or patients. We're so grateful for who you are and everything that you've offered to people everywhere.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And again, I'm so sorry that I lost track of Eastern.
Not at all. This is the fun of a live stream. We're just rolling with the punches here. So
Okay.
it was great to go into your kitchen tonight and hope to collaborate again in the future. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yes. We're nearing the end of our live stream tonight, and I'm at the moment where I get to introduce my friend and colleague and longtime collaborator, Lynn Diamond, who is one of our not only day-to-day like doers in Plant Powered Metro New York, she's also the secretary of our board and somebody who I consider a great friend and confidant. So Lynn, welcome to Plantathon.
Thank you, Leanna. Leanna asked me to talk about why I volunteer or why I'm on the board, and it's much broader for me. I spend the better part of my time working at Plant Power Metro. And as I was nearing retirement from my legal career, I started spending more and more time working with Leanna, getting Plant Power Metro off the ground. And why? Because it seemed to me the best way to reach people with the message of health through plant-based nutrition that I had already discovered for myself. Many of us have discovered that our friends and family may be the people least interested in this message, as Chef Bravo just said. But there are plenty of people out there who would be open to it if we could just reach them with the message. From our introductory programs to our jump starts to social gatherings, together we at Plant Power Metro are able to reach so many more people than any of us individually could do. So in that vein, I encourage everyone watching tonight to contribute to our fundraising campaign. Each one of us individually can reach so many people, just so many people. But when you contribute to Plant Power Metro, you're able to amplify your own reach. With our amazing team of people, both our staff and our dedicated volunteers, your funds enable us to do more, to present more programs, to teach more people, to reach more people via social media. As we all know, that the task is huge. Together, we can do so much more. I don't just work at Plant Power Metro, I contribute every year as well. So I would like to ask all of you to please join us in our efforts and contribute whatever you can to help us expand your impact. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. I'm back. But I'm really grateful that you have spent your quote unquote retirement with Plant Powered Metro New York. It really means so much to have you in our community and in our leadership. And with that, we are now at a point where we are going to do our giveaways for the night. So if you have made a donation to Plant Powered Metro since the beginning of November, or if you registered for Plantathon, then you've been entered to win one of many prizes. And what I would like to do is to share the winners of each of the prizes one by one. So we're going to start off with Dr. Weiss's 2-week virtual challenge, courtesy of Ethos Primary Care. We have 2 winners. The first winner is Terry Lander from Winnipeg, Manitoba. Awesome to have you with us, Terry. Congratulations. The second winner of the virtual challenge is Karen May from Massachusetts. And Karen is one of our lifestyle mentors who has been part of our Jumpstarts. Congrats, Karen. Next, we have 2 winners of a $25 gift certificate for the Doctor's Farm Market. I'm so excited. Sharon Brown from New Jersey is one of our winners, as is Danielle Medina from Delaware, another of our winners for the gift certificate. Congratulations. And finally, tonight, we have dinner for 2 at District Saigon, one of our plant-powered plates restaurants in Astoria, Queens. This is going to Maggie Saldana from New York City. Congrats, Maggie. We hope you enjoy dinner on the house at District Saigon. And our team will be contacting you shortly to claim your prizes, so get ready. A final thank you before we close to our other sponsors, California Balsamic and Farm to People, who make the work we do possible every day. So tomorrow at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time, Plantathon is going to be back featuring a replay of one of our favorite talks from the 2022 Plantathon show, and that was with Dr. Aisha Sherzai, neurologist out of California. She'll be talking about brain health, cognition, and the power of lifestyle. So be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel to get reminders when we stream each evening for the remainder of our virtual showcase. I'm so excited to welcome you back each night. We still have great evenings ahead. And with that, have a great night. Eat your plants and enjoy.